In this video, I'm going to review how do we analyze linear piecewise functions. And knowing that you have a true or false quiz to reassess your knowledge of this, I'm also going to go over ways that they may try to trick you on the quiz. So let's start off with, if somebody asked you to identify the x-intercept, we can see that this function, no piece of the function crosses the x-axis. So when you are asked to fill out what is the x-intercept, what I do not want you to do is to put a 0. Do not put a 0. That would insinuate that the function crosses the x-axis at 0. Instead, you could write the word none, or NA, for none available. Let's look at the y-intercept. The y-intercept can be found right here. I feel confident the majority of you can identify the y-intercept. But how do we write it as an ordered pair? Is it 0, 5, or is it 5, 0? This ordered pair is written as 0, 5. Be very careful that on your quiz you are looking to make sure that you have lined up the x's and the y's accordingly. Let's now identify what is the domain. So the domain, as we look from left to right, we can see that if you were walking along the x-axis from the far left to the far right and you look up, you can continuously see some piece of this function the entire time. Even when we jump from one piece to the next piece, continuously as you walk from left to right on the x bridge, you are constantly seeing some piece of the function. So how do we write that down? Okay, so the domain for this function, the correct domain for this function is negative infinity to positive. What do these symbols mean? This symbol means that it will continue to go to the far left and never stop, and it will continue to go to the far right and never stop. This does not represent a single value. It represents a continuous direction, continuously to the left, continuously to the right. Whenever you see either this symbol or this symbol, and we're writing something in interval notation, we will always use parentheses that are around these symbols. Always use parentheses with both the positive and the negative infinity symbols. All right, let's talk about the next one. Let's talk about increasing, decreasing, and constant. There's three things you have to remember. The three things you have to remember with describing increasing, decreasing, and constant intervals is you only ever use parentheses to describe them. You read it from left to right, and we're going to use the x values to describe it. Okay, x values. So let's start with this one. From left to right, we can see that we're going downhill or decreasing. From left to right, we can see we're going uphill or increasing. And from left to right, we can see we're flat or constant. Can you do me a favor? I'd like you to just be honest with me. Raising your hand high in the air. Give me a thumbs up or thumbs down if you feel confident in just describing whether it's increasing, decreasing, or constant. Yes, thumbs up. Thumbs down, no. Okay, here's the next thing. So I feel like in the past, you were at the same point with other students. They feel confident that they can identify it, but it's how do they write it? So let's look at this one. We know it's decreasing or it's going down from left to right, but how do we actually write it? In terms of x values, it comes from the far left. Remember, this symbol means it will continue to go to the left. It's not going to stop. So in terms of x values, it comes from the far left, and it continues to be going down or decreasing until it gets to an x value of -2. Make sure for increasing, decreasing, and constant that you are always using parentheses. Okay, increasing. From left to right, it starts at an x value of -2, and it continues to go up all the way to an x value of +2. Make sure you're not using the y values. Don't say from 3 to 7. We're describing this interval in terms of x values. Down here, the constant goes from an x value of 2, and as it moves to the right, it will continuously be constant. Always using parentheses for increasing, decreasing, and constant. We're describing them in terms of x values and looking at it from left to right. All right, the most missed question on this test, was how do you describe where the function is positive or negative? So this line describes where it's neutral. Why is that? Because the y value is 0. This is y is 0. That's why it's neutral. Anything above this would be y's that are positive. Anything below this would be y's that are negative. All right. Oops, sorry. Y's that are negative. So let's start with this. Let's write these two down. So we're asked, where is f of x, also known as the y's, where are they positive? So in terms of x values, it's possible we will use brackets at times now. Okay, we're going to describe this one. It's similar to this, it comes from the far left, and because I have this symbol, I will use a parenthesis always, and it continues to be in the y positive region all the way up to an x value of -2. Now, when x is -2, notice that there's a closed dot. This point is in the y region that's positive. That's why it gets a bracket. Okay, this region of the graph is also in the y positive. It starts at a value of -2. Why am I putting a parenthesis? Because it's an open circle. And it goes all the way to a value of +2. Why am I putting a parenthesis? Because I'm putting a parenthesis here because we have an open circle. Okay, turn to somebody around you. I know that's super difficult. You have 15 seconds. I'm watching. Any group that's not talking does not do the retake today, okay? I want to know, do you and your partner understand this? And if they don't, help them out. Ready, get set, and go.
Guess what?
Okay, so we're going from negative infinity to -2, and then from -2 to 2. That's totally fine, but look at this. Realistically, I could rewrite this. Do you see how the -2 and the -2 are right here? I could say it really goes from -2 all the way to +2. I could put those two together. From negative infinity all the way to x value of +2, that entire time, the function is always in the y positive region. This one is a lot easier for students in general. This is the region where y is negative, or f of x is negative. Starts at an x value of +2, but notice that at +2 we have a closed dot and it's in the y negative region. And as it moves to the right, it will continually be in the negative region. Now this is the part that I thought students did the best on, that in the past they have not done well on. I'm going to put random numbers here, and we're going to come up with what is the corresponding y value. This is called function notation. This is referred to as function notation. So if I go to f of 5, that means go to where x equals 5, and I go up or down until I hit the graph. Once I hit the graph, I go, oh, well, the corresponding y value there is -2. Now I'm going to go to where x is 0. F of 0 means where is x 0? It's right here. I go up to the graph, and it corresponds to a y value of 5. Let's go to -2. Now, this is a tricky one. I go to -2. Do I go to the closed dot or the open circle? Which one? Open circle means it's not actually part of the graph. So we're going to go to the closed dot, and the corresponding y value is a +1.